Hey everybody, it's Ruder bringing you another champion guide for League of Legends. This time I'll be covering one of the most underappreciated and underestimated champions in this game, Veigar, the Tiny Master of Evil. This guide is going to focus on both the build and the playstyle of Veigar in the 5v5 match setting, which is where Veigar really needs to stay. Twisted Tree Line is far too teamfight based early, and without that solid early farm in the laning phase, he has a hard time catching up. Don't get me wrong, I've had strong success using Veigar in 3s, but without an early lead, he will be a wasted slot in a team roster. Think of Veigar as the anti-mage. Veigar's insane burst, AoE stun, and ability to make short work of opposing casters makes him a fantastic champion and a far too often overlooked counterpick to an AP-heavy team. Galio is quickly becoming the response to an enemy team full of mages, but if tanking isn't something you enjoy, next time consider choosing Veigar. Let's go ahead and dive right into masteries. For Veigar, I like to take a 9-0-21 build. It's a standard utility build, focusing on spell penetration, cooldown reduction, mana regen, but the important thing here is that I actually do spec into the Summoner Spell Teleport. There will be a link in the description that will take you to leaguecraft.com where you can see exactly what I've taken. For runes, I take Magic Pin Reds, flat mana regen yellows, ability cooldown reduction per level blues, and flat health quints to help with early game survivability. Magic Pin Red is the most bang for your buck and allows Veigar to continue snowballing his AP. The mana regen is for longer farming to increase that AP, and the cooldown per level blues are to help ensure that he has his spells up more often in those late game team fights. Let's go on to Veigar basics. There are 3 very important things to consider when playing Veigar. Firstly, you're a huge snowball. You start slow every single game, but when you start rolling, you can become unstoppable. A strong farm is absolutely crucial to his success. Secondly, Veigar blows shit up. Veigar destroys and easily controls 1v1 fights, but he also has an easier time owning up on opposing AP champions. This is where his role in team fights becomes very, very important, and you need to make sure that your ultimate is used carefully. You need to try to put it on any opposing caster, but also considering if you're going to die, then you need to get it off. That one strong hit may make or break that team fight, even if you do get focused. Veigar's burst potential puts him at a very high risk of a target on his back, so don't tunnel vision one opponent. Be prepared to blow your load on whoever comes close and whoever you can do the most damage to at that time. Thirdly, help your team. Too many Veigars themselves farming, or are caught miles away from a team fight due to their craving for the unlimited supply of AP that creep waves can offer. You're a supportive and dangerous champion, so even at low health you can provide crucial support to your team. Now that we've gone over his basics, let's go on to those abilities that this tiny powerhouse brings to the table. I'd almost say he's not in short supply of great ones. Veigar hurts on mana, and my build between runes, masteries, and even items makes sure that he gets a boost in his regen in order to farm as best as possible. But Veigar also provides himself with a nice boost in the form of his passive. Veigar's passive is called Equilibrium. It gives him extra mana regen based on how much he is currently missing. It is a nice boost to that regen, but without the masteries, a little help from the items, or even the neutral buffs, he does have a rough time keeping the pool full between farming and the team fights. Veigar's Q is called Baleful Strike. This ability unleashes a single shot of dark energy, dealing magic damage to a target. This ability is Veigar's bread and butter. Whenever this ability last hits a minion, it awards Veigar with 1 permanent AP. As an added bonus, whenever Veigar slays an opposing champion with any sort of damage, it awards him an additional AP based on the rank of the spell. Veigar's W is called Dark Matter. This ability drops a single delayed burst of magic damage to a target location, only revealed by the shadow of its drop. Use this to take out large masses of creeps, or push lanes, to increase your farming. But remember that taking down single creeps one by one and using your Q gives you more and more AP. Don't shortchange yourself when it comes to farming that AP. Gold can only take you so far with 6 item slots, but you have the in-game advantage over other casters by having more AP than they could even achieve with the best of items. Veigar's E is called Event Horizon. This ability is arguably Veigar's best ability. This ability drops a cage on the ground that stuns everybody moving in or out of it. Making contact with the edges stuns opponents for a set amount of time, allowing you to drop all of your abilities on a target without chance of their response. This ability is amazing for caging potential targets, running from a gank, or even dropping the edges right on top of a channeling ability. This cooldown is fairly lengthy though, so try to make the most of it. Veigar's R is the shit. It's actually called Primordial Burst, but you'll soon be referring to it as Let's Go Get a Kill. This is a single target burst that blasts the target enemy champion for a flat amount, plus the combined AP of Veigar and the targets. So obviously he's a threat to anybody due to this ability, but it is his ultimate trump card against other AP stacking champions. For skilling order, obviously prioritize taking your ulti every single time it's up, then your Q, then your W, and finally your E. You need to make sure you have at least 1 rank of your E by the time you hit level 6 in order to lay down your burst combo, but otherwise, prioritize skilling damage abilities over your stun. Alright, let's get on to his items. Veigar is an incredibly bursty champion that can nuke targets from full health to nothing, but there are a few items we can take to help that process along. Start your game with a Meki Pendant, 1 health potion, and 1 mana potion. You need to keep yourself in lane farming up as much as possible before you make that first return to base, and often you won't need to until you have at least 850 gold. At your first return to base, pick up your basic boots and then your Chalice of Harmony. Many Veigar players overlook Chalice, but it will allow you to farm much longer combined with your passive. The next time you return to base, pick up a Cage's Lucky Pick, which we will be pushing into a Deathfire's Grasp. Completing the pick portion of the item before the Fiendish Codex will help you get all the gold faster, and the raw AP is also a nice boost to all of Veigar's abilities. After completing the Deathfire's Grasp, upgrade your boots into Sork boots for that extra magic penetration, and then begin building your Riley's Crystal Scepter. At this point in the game, you should have no trouble farming, so which item to purchase first to complete the Riley's is up to you. I personally find myself obtaining the raw AP before I get the Giant's Belt, but if you're having a hard time surviving, just go ahead and grab the health. From here, it's a bit of a toss-up for you and your playstyle. I generally get a Z-Ring followed by an Abyssal Scepter, but Void Staff, Banshee's Veil, and Guardian's Angel are all very viable options. As I've said before, you should be adapting to whatever the opposite team is throwing at you, so a Banshees can be very useful against your primary focus, shutting down opposite casters. While I do say Banshees is useful, I find getting the core portion of my guide's build far more important. Chalice, Deathfire, Sork Boots, and then Riley's are amazing and need your attention first. The other thing I'd like to address is that some players are very addicted to the Magi's Soul Stealer because it will help them enhance that snowball effect that Veigar so perfectly exemplifies. But think about the math for a second. You receive only 8 ability power per stack, and this ability can stack up to 160 ability power total. Veigar loves AP, and would obviously benefit greatly from this, but then again, Veigar is in no short supply if played correctly. Approaching endgame, keeping your stacks will become harder and harder to do, and if you didn't take it early, you may have a hard time building a large stack number. So, if you're going to take Magi's, take it before you take your Riley's, otherwise just ignore this item. In my honest opinion, there are far better items out there for Veigar to utilize for both damaging opponents and surviving a team fight. For summoner spells, I suggest taking Teleport and Flash. Teleport makes Veigar both a strong farmer and a ganker, while Flash allows you to both initiate and escape those not-so-favorable situations. Flashing in, throwing down a stun, and then laying all of your burst can destroy an unprepared opponent, while flashing out of a gank can help you with the target over your head. Now that I've covered all the guide information about Veigar, I'm going to address his gameplay. Early game you need mid. Veigar relies heavily on an early farm to boost both his income and his AP. Yes, a solo 2v1 lane is alright, but if your opponents are smart, they'll use their early abilities to keep you away from last hits. When you're in the 1v1 mid lane, you can work around only one other champion's harassment, and make sure that you get your farming in. After a couple levels, Veigar can start harassing the lane back, and after 6, should either be forcing mid out of lane, or be ganking. You aren't a fantastic ganker early in the game, so try to make your abilities count. If farming until the Deathfire Grasp is a possibility, just do it. You'll be dropping nerds in teamfights soon enough, so just make sure you do your part later. Mid-game, you need to try to hold on to blue golem buff as much as possible in order to spam all of your abilities, and continue to be a participant in both pushing lanes and team fights. You should be feeling his burst potential by this point, and help support your team in any way possible. Late game for Veigar, his dominance may be running out of time because of opponents stacking heavy amounts of magical resistance. While you may not be still one-shotting people, you can easily lay down both heavy harassment and supportive burst when the team fight does go down. Like most casters, try to keep yourself to the edge of the fights, dropping as much damage as possible. When you do drop your ulti, try to make sure that it's on the weakest opponent stacking AP, and if the opponents have created Banshee's Veils, try to break them before the team fight does start. Now that we've covered the 3 major portions of the game, we can talk about why Veigar does so much damage. Veigar has an incredible combination of abilities that allows him to drop large amounts of burst damage quickly to an unsuspecting opponent. The simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 combination will bring a smile to your face every time you do it. First, drop your E on or around an opponent. The stun will allow you to continue dropping more damage without interruption, and then drop your delayed burst W. After we've stunned, call from the drop for the sky, and now we're going to activate our Deathfire Grasp. Too many players forget to either activate it altogether or activate it too late in the fight. Don't forget that upon activation it does deal 30% of the current health plus an additional 3.5% per 100 ability power, so use it as the first point of damage reaching your target. So now we have our target stunned, called for the delayed drop of damage, shot our Deathfire, and now it's time to drop the ultimate. After the ultimate, we use our Q and rinse and repeat. So for this example, let's just say we have our Deathfire bound to the number 2. You need to go E, W, 2, R, Q. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 combo will drop even the sturdiest of champs from full health to low, if not actually kill them. Let's take a quick look at this in action. Alright, so once again the order of damage should be Deathfire, Primordial Burst, your Dark Matter Landing, and then follow it up with Baleful Strike. This does actually conclude this short guide to Veigar. I should be uploading a commentary of the game footage used for this guide within the next few days, and of course thank you very much for watching, and please leave some feedback. Rate, comment, subscribe, and hopefully you'll hear from me in short time.